Good evening and welcome to the stream this evening, and welcome to more Pyrography. And I almost remembered absolutely everything. One thing I didn't remember is the camera control. So we'll just zoom out a little bit for a slightly different view of things. So tonight, more of the lion. Oops, there's it. Stay there, picture. So, yeah. Well, the lion's face. Fur around here, I think, and possibly a little bit of work around the muzzle. But let's get on with it this evening. It's a little warm in here already, so let's just have a little bit of cooling air. Yeah, you would do that, wouldn't you? Fans. They blow paper all over the place, of course. Right. So we'll do some work here on the nose. At the moment, that transition is too strong, too much contrast. We need to reduce the contrast between them. So we'll do that relatively slowly, just to adjust the colour. Just putting in some of the, as I'm running my hand over this, of course, what I'm doing is erasing my guidelines. They're meant to be guidelines, I want them there to guide me, so if I rub them out, they won't be there. Kind of obvious really, but just need to keep checking, put them back if they get erased. Okay, so that contrast is coming down now. You can just work on this area here a little bit. That's not bad. I think we'll leave that just like that for the moment. Now we're going to want some light, lighter and darker for just coming up off the eyes above the shadow here. Just a little bit dark across there, or darker. The first sort of curls under, obviously, is it? Well, not obviously, but it's sort of curling up. It's your eyebrow area, just under there. That looks okay. So what we want to do now is we need to apply a little bit of colour here. Yeah. And this line, it's a little bit of a misleading line. What that kind of is the crease right up the middle of the forehead. Now for the moment I want quite light colouring, and as it stands at the moment, quite light colouring means virtually non-existent, but I'll darken that down a little bit. Yeah, I'm considering switching to my other shader because it's slightly larger. Although I do have more familiarity with this particular one. Which of course means I should practice with the other one as well. Especially since one of the things I tend to do with this particular shader is hold it so I'm using the edge, because the edge is hotter. Especially if you're holding it so the whole base of the shader isn't on the wood. Because that area then heats up and transfers its heat to the edge. But here that also tends to give you lines, which I don't particularly want in this area. But I do know if I turn the heat of this up, what's going to happen is I have to work faster, and I do stand the risk of, when I put the tool down on the wood, getting a sudden brown mark. Like I sort of almost got there. Fluffy Twiggler, good evening. If he's roaring, he's a ventriloquist because he's got his mouth shut. Or are you attempting to speak cat? So you feeling better today? Yeah, no, I did understand the raw. It's like the stream title just lying about. I'm glad you're feeling at least a bit better. I'm okay, thank you very much. And Mrs. Zara, or Lady Zara, is doing quite well. And the kitties, well, Cleo's doing fine. She's sat on the box over there. Junior, actually, Junior I haven't seen today at all so far. And Felix is whilst I was at work, he popped in the room a couple of times and then disappeared, but he seems to be okay, thank you very much. Did you actually go into college, university today, or did you end up not managing it? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put this pen on the other cable. Generally speaking, I prefer it on the heavy duty cable, but it'll do. You can almost do with these sort of cables hanging down, so I can just pick a pen up and use it when I need it to. Yeah, and that's fur coming out there, so this is kind of the edge of the head up to about there, and then we basically just disappear into the hair. Pretty bloke, good evening and welcome. Impromptu drawing, yeah. I'm no good at just sitting down and drawing things like that. or people even, and especially people, because I need to practice capturing a person, because they're moving all the time. Still life is a bit easier. But I still need to practice. Right, now that I've got that edge in, I am going to erase the edge. So that I don't cook it in. So how are you doing today, Free? I'm assuming you were streaming last night with the Mac, so it seems as though it's doing it okay now. Oh, just when you start to think you've got it sorted out, it goes and changes your mind. Having dinner? Well, I've already had mine. Quite an unusual tea for me, or dinner. Raw cauliflower and chips. Forgot to get some stuff out of the freezer. An Assassin's Creed. Okay, what, the original one or one of the later episodes? Oh dear. Kind of nice in a way. You suddenly find you've got a game you didn't know you had. Yeah. Mind you, clearing some stuff out this last weekend, and I came across it must have been almost a complete collection of Infocom games, but all on 5.25-inch floppy. So I can't even play them if I wanted to. So we'll probably give them away to a charity, but I suspect they will just dump them. But oh, that's not bad. Yeah, I used to have a PS1, PS2. I never got the PS3. I never bothered. Or 4 for that matter. Then I got a Wii and a Wii U. But certainly for the PS2, eventually I got some, like, about 2 or 3 crates. Like the Apple crates or Apple boxes of games, which most of which I've never played. You kind of, oh, that looks interesting, and you sort of bought it at the time, and you just never got around to it. And I just sort of keep looking. Well, I kept looking at them and kept going, and they've just been stacked up. And I know I'm never going to play the things. I still have the PS2, but I just never have time. I know it's all about making time, but 2 hours doing this, and then something after that. Before this is tea, and before that I'm at work, so I'd never get anything else done. Yeah, I've kind of I kind of now got to the point where I essentially won't buy a game unless I'm actually going to play it. Which means I've got about 4 for the Wii U. Actually, one of which I've not played yet. But I think the games are as well. I've kind of got used to the PC and Steam. Steam makes installing games so easy and what have you. But I guess the games I enjoy playing most these days, most of the time, just out really console games. I mean, I must admit, the nice thing about the consoles is you just plug the game in and it works, subject to bugs and things, but But as I just with Steam these days, it's almost as easy. There's no real installation or anything. Yeah, I've seen people buy that. They buy all these bargains, but it's But did you want it? Well, it was cheap. Yeah, but did you want it? Well, I'll play it sometime. So you've spent money that you probably won't ever play. So how's that a bargain? Yeah. Yeah, that is true as well, Fee. And of course, one of the nice things about it is it's you that's licensed, so you can go to another machine, log in, and play it on another machine. Or if you change machines, you don't have to mess about trying to find all the discs. You just say install. Quite like. I know some people don't like Steam, but and yes, it watches. Well, it watches. It records what you play and things like that. So but that's the way the world's going. They certainly do have some cool features, relatively speaking. I mean, the train simulator with Marketplace and with the Steam Workshop web, a lot of people produce content. So yeah, I've never. Well, I'm gonna say I've never really had any problem with it myself, but a long time ago they had very few of the games that I actually liked to play, which were the adventure games, and they never had those, so I didn't really get a lot from Steam. But and I guess these days they probably have a lot, but knowing that I don't play games, I'll look through games, and I've got a few things on that I'll drop onto a wish list, not from the point of view of wishing I could buy them, but it's just there to keep an eye on. If I ever decide I'd like to play a game, I've got ready access to a few that I've been watching for a while, like that oh well, there's a few I can't remember now, but I've got a few on there. Right. And there's a few trains I'd quite like to buy at some point, maybe, sort of, but probably won't ever get around to it. Okay, so we will have a transition around here into fur, but we're now into real fur texture around here. So let's do a little bit of the muzzle, because that's going to be... We're going to come round like that. Okay, yeah. So although I'm trying to be quite smooth with this so I don't get a very pronounced fur texture, I'm still keeping using the fur direction when I'm moving the tool, so that any marks I do get will resemble fur. And if you go in the wrong direction and you get a mark, then it sort of won't look right. But if I accidentally get a mark and I'm in the right direction, it's just a bit of fur texture. Somebody's starting to stream a lot all of a sudden. What I'm just going to do now is just turn this down, because I've got some pencil marks there which I want to erase, but they're basically where the whiskers would be, and so I want some black dots. Before I cook the lines in. Like that. Not fantastically visible on there, but they are relatively and I've not put as many in as they actually are, and you know, a little bit of artistic license, shall we say. Now that line there, I can quite happily leave it in because it's going to get quite dark. You probably can't see the line, but there is a guideline there, which is his mouth. Now what I'm trying to do just down here is create the impression that the bottom lip is inside the top lip. Sort of like that, because that's kind of how the cat's jaw fits in. And it's kind of a little bit tricky to do that. One of the things I'm sort of trying to see if it will work is a sharper edge at the top side than the bottom, so you've got more shadow on the bottom than on the top. Now of course this pen needs more heat than the other shader because it's bigger. So I guess rather than trying to get that shader to do what I'm doing, what I should do is to actually switch to the other one. Give it a little bit of a chance to warm up a little bit. Yeah, I saw that last night on somebody. I can't remember. Oh, was it yours, Free? I think. Yeah. I don't well. I don't know what they hope to achieve. I mean, a lot of people use a lot of streamers these days do seem to use their own spam killer bot of some kind. So you kind of would have thought that it really isn't worth somebody's effort. So that comes down a lot stronger than that, which kind of makes sense, really. Yeah, down. And you kind of wonder who they think is, well, I suppose somebody must be daft enough to click on the links, otherwise they wouldn't continue to do them, but I guess so. I mean, I obviously I don't watch a great deal of the like the gaming ones and things. Captain Derby, I do see in creative a lot of people using them. I don't quite remember that setting fit. I'll have to have a look. I've probably set it without realising I've forgotten I'd set it, but I suppose in some ways, Captain Derby, it's if people weren't daft enough to click on the links, then you wouldn't need to sort of ban them, so to speak. Channel and video section. Yeah, I'll take a look. But let me take a look now whilst I think about it. Make sure I've got sound turned down or turned off on this. Profile. That wasn't what I wanted. I wanted settings. Which I can never remember. That's it. Yeah, I suppose that's true, Captain Derby. No, I'm not seeing it free. Ah, yes I do. Now I've seen it. There we go. Hope none of you guys are not. Hope any of you guys that are chatting are verified, because I'm about to turn it on. Yeah, you've inherited 55. You know, why would somebody be contacting you, over a chat window or something like that for stuff like that? You know, it's, or even in a random email. You know. But it happens. You know, it happens. Okay, let's just give that a bit of a clean. There we go. Now then, do I switch back? Yes, I do. Yes, I will switch back to that other pen. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that to kind of to get rid of spam, you need to reduce privacy, really. Or at least redesign it. Yeah, well, it's an arms race. They're always good is kind of always one step behind evil. Don't think I've ever, no, I don't think I've ever watched that one. I forgot to erase those lines. Put the dots in and then forgot to erase the lines. That doesn't help. Oh, you're starting early tonight. Are you free? Have a good evening then. And Moobot's got you again. I like that. Yeah. You're leaving too? Oh, all by myself. Never mind. Okay, old LH, have a good evening. I know it's not true, but I half wonder whether Free's forgotten to put his clocks back. Because he started an hour earlier than he normally would. That transition is a little bit too abrupt. We'll do something about that shortly. That's actually not too bad because that's sort of the way it looks. Right, so let's do a little bit. Okay, now I need just a fine line which goes from there to there. Like that. Yeah, that works well. Still looks a little bit too light for what I'm after, but there we go. Getting better. We're getting on better with this now. There's still too much of a contrast here. I think I want quite so sharp a contrast line. That's about what I want there. Okay, now we kind of really want to start to put fur texture in. Already got some in there, but I need to do that using the other pen. I'm doing this with the pen tilted quite a way up because that way it actually creates little tiny grooves, which then give a fur-like texture on the wood. And the log first starts from about there to come into that, so we're only going about halfway there. Exilian, good evening, welcome. It is odd how light affects how something looks. Thank you very much, that's kind of you to say so. What part of the head is going to be the hardest bit to do? The head. I have never done a lion before. This is the first time. So, kind of all of it. I keep looking at it and going, how on earth do I do? And so I just do a bit of something and it just keeps coming together. So I actually don't know. It's one of these things I'll tell you later. It's not. Is it difficult? Is it hard? I'm not especially being frustrated by it or finding it, extremely difficult. I am sort of not that necessarily that sure about how to go about doing something, or yeah, looking at things and going, does that look right? But I don't really know, to be honest. We're just you know, gonna see how it goes. It's similar but different. I mean, the last cat, of course, the leopard, was done on scraper board, and you're kind of thinking backwards on scraper board. You're putting in highlights as opposed to on Pyrography, you're putting in the lowlights, you bring the dark areas in. And bring the dark areas in is rather like using either paint or a pencil, to be honest. You don't often paint in white, so you know, working to put the highlights in and leave the dark areas dark is kind of backwards to the way you normally think. And of course everything is done using scratches on scraperboard here. I effectively am using scratches to create fur texture like I did with the scraper board, but I have to do it using the heated tool. So the hard part, I think, has been the eyes. Always is, get the eyes right. Possibly the ears are actually going to be quite awkward to do because they want to look nice and sort of fluffy-ish sort of thing. I suppose in this particular case the whole mane actually is going to be difficult because it's really fine hair. I probably can't represent that hair very well, and I'm not sure whether to try and do it or whether to just create I mean, like, I'm starting to put like hair-like texture in here, but I'm not sure whether to do that on the mane or whether actually just to use smooth strokes. So I don't know. Look at me. Yes, there were two of them, Junior and Felix, and they were done a lot smaller, and they were doing virtually, well, I suppose I see what you mean in a way. It doesn't feel the same, to be honest. I'm not quite sure what it is about it, probably because there's a lot more smooth area on this than on the cats. I think even on the two, Junior and Felix, I think I've even more or less places like their nose, I've done quite tiny fur textures, whereas here I'm trying to avoid doing fur textures in this sort of area. Yeah. Yes, you are right. I have done them. Hmm. Interesting thought. I hadn't really compared them. Um, no, fantastically, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, you are right in some ways. They are going to be quite similar, and the issues or the difficulties are the same in some ways. With getting the right textures in place, and I mean, this area here was just shaded rather than actually putting fur into it. The front and side, nah. I mean, this is very slightly. It's almost side on, but it's not. It's not quite full side on. It's just slightly tilted, to like that, I guess. Because you're getting a little bit of the top of the forehead and a little bit of the side of the mouth. But no, I mean, otherwise, apart from that, the fact that it's side on as opposed to Junior here being sort of 3/4, no, it's not fantastically a problem. It's just me not thinking about it particularly as being similar when in fact it actually is. Yeah, well. Well, the difficulty I'm going to start to have if I'm not very careful with this is the fact that I will create lines. You can't really see it at the moment, but that's because I'm trying not to, but I actually am starting to see lines where I start and stop the pen. I have to avoid that. I don't want that to happen. Ow. Well, uh, I guess that's true in that everything is always more practice, you know. But I'm always learning new things. I think that's. How does it? Sorry, I didn't realise that. It, mm, I don't know. At the moment, I see it the other way around. But sorry, I've just read back your comment before last about. At the moment, Junior looks more detailed to me than the Lion, but probably as it comes together, I don't know. They're just different, to be honest. And I'm enjoying doing both. I've enjoyed doing that one. I'm enjoying doing this one. As we get up here, that's where the fur starts to lengthen. Mm-hmm. Mm. So I'm just fighting with the light a little bit. Mm-hmm. New Star Wars. No, I've not seen it, Exilian. I've watched the first 3 Star Wars, and I've sort of seen bits of 1 or 2 of the others. The second 3, well, I know they were prequels, but they kind of didn't really interest me enough. Well, I don't know. Don't know quite if it's that, or I'm just not interested in watching movies at the moment. It's certainly not one that's, you know, that I have been dying to go out and watch or anything like that, and neither were the second 3. So no, I've not seen it. As was it? Well, they are kind of my type of film, but I guess I've just kind of lost interest in watching films. It's if it was on actually on the television, and I mean literally it was playing on the TV, and I happened to walk through, and I wasn't urgently doing something else, I'd probably sit down and watch it. But anyway, I think actually we'll call it a night at this point. Actually done, relatively speaking, quite a lot on that face there. I do have to do some more of that on that shading. It's still not quite right, but yeah, I think, well, that may be right. I mean, the first 3 were sort of quite an exciting sort of set of movies. I mean, they were relatively new at the time, and in terms of sort of technology and stuff like that, so they were sort of the must-see films. And I guess these days, you know, the technology that's in them is kind of old. You know, it was, you know, people are used to seeing that sort of special effect and things like that. But I've half read the stories, and the stories of the first 3 didn't really grab me either. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Yep. Thanks, Captain Derby. I'm going to just do a quick reminder of anybody that might be watching that doesn't know about the jewellery shop. Check it out. I think there's good stuff in there. I would. It's my shop. Yeah, good for presents and things like that. But don't leave it too late. If there's anybody what's watching that isn't following, I kind of encourage you to do so. That way you should in theory get a notification when I go live in Twitch. But if you don't trust it or it doesn't happen, you can always follow me in Twitter. It's @Zaragonart. A tweet goes out when I go live, so that should be more reliable. On the other hand, if you just wish to try and catch me, I will be live tomorrow from 8 PM UK time, 2000 hours UTC/GMT. We're both the same now. Oh, about 2 hours ago it was 8 o'clock here in the UK, so that time tomorrow. One thing to note, there'll be no stream on Thursday night or Friday night this week. I'm not going to be around to do it, I'm afraid. So tomorrow will be the last one until Saturday. Thanks everybody for watching, and I hope I'll see you again in the future. Bye for now.